I'm really excited by this book because it allows me to use the same chessboard and pieces that were used in that time, as you can see from the picture of the book. And now I would like to show you match or game number 7, not match, because this is match number 1. McDonnell is white, de la Bourdonnais is black, and this is a Sicilian defense. e4, c5, f4, e6. Today I think they would play knight c3 because this is the Grand Prix attack, and then f4. The reason is that they want to control d5. Why? Because when you do f4, black will immediately challenge your center, because black has a protected pawn and you don't. So that's why, right? In the game after f4, de la Bourdonnais continued with e6. Then we have knight f3 and knight c6, c3, d5, and now there is e5. This to me looks very similar to a French advance, right? Here it says McDonnell repeats his opening of games number 5, following the example of Philidor. But this time de la Bourdonnais is more consistent, proceeding actively and striving to open lines to exploit white's slow idealistic development. So after e5, what do you think black played? Black wants to challenge the center immediately, and he does it with this, f6. Now it's true, this move creates some kind of weakness on this diagonal, but at the same time start to put pressure. Now, white wants to develop, but as you can see, this side is blocked, and this is the only one he can move, and he plays bishop e2. Here he says this bishop belongs at d3. As in the previous encounter, after the text, it does little to influence the central struggle, while from d3 it keeps an eye on f5, a key springboard for black king's knight, which means the king's knight wants to play this and this. Okay. Honestly, I must tell you guys that I saw this move in one correspondence game I'm having, and I thought it was totally crazy because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't study the Sicilian theory. So this is what I want to tell you guys, that it seems that to study these old games, it's really, really useful. So try really to get the book. It's a beautiful book with all these games. Yes, they are 85 games, but there are also some extra. And if one, in my opinion, finish to study these 85 games, he will get definitely a grip on the openings and have some ideas on the openings, right? Because as you can see, here already told you that the square e2 is not good, the square d3 is the right one for the bishop. What does this mean? Mean that it's teaching you how to recognize good squares from bad squares and what do they do. Of course, here you should know that black is want to play knight h6 and f5, and so that's why you want to have a bishop here. But thanks to c3, the bishop can probably go to c2, and then you can push. So yeah, it's a kind of waste of tempi, but at the same time is teaching you something about the opening. Bishop e7 was the answer. Knight e3, queen b6, knight c2, knight c2. As you can see, the fight here is probably for d4. Knight h6, like told us before, he wants to go there. d4, c takes d. Della Bourdonnais continues his strategy of opening lines in the center. A much better recipe than the tension releasing c4, a lesson he had learned in game 5. So in game 5 he played the c4, not good. Here he takes in the center. cd, bishop d7. This is the so-called bad bishop in the French, and that's why, guys, you can think of this opening not anymore as a Sicilian but as a French. What does it mean that it's the bad bishop? Well, quite simple. As you can see, it doesn't have squares to go around, so it's behaving like a pawn. And now bishop d3. So he's trying to take control of his f5. White confesses the sin he committed at move 6. As you can see, sometimes it's important to be able to accept our mistakes, no? Knight b4, knight takes b4, bishop takes b4, and king f2. King f2 is considered a mistake. Here it says McDonnell favored this early king tour throughout the matches, but his position here hardly merits such optimism. Correct is Staunton's recommendation of bishop d2, after which black remains more active due to bishop e7 and preparing for bishop b5. So that's what he thought it was better, instead of moving the king to defend with a bishop. Castle. And here there is rook f1. Here it says releasing the pin on the f-file by king g3 as suggested by Morphy may be slightly superior. So he says this move that was an annotation by Morphy to the game was better than this. F takes e, F takes e. By the way, it seems that knight takes e5 and black is better thanks to bishop b5. But in this case, the black center should keep. Instead, let's see one thing. So this move, queen takes d4, lands black in trouble. Is not a good move, because it seems they offer kind of analyzed probably the game, the notes with the computer, and found that there was a discrepancy. So let's return to the game where f takes e5 was actually played. Here it seems that the author thinks queen takes d4 is the move to play. And then the white king has a problem. Keep in mind that queen takes d4, after he moves the king somewhere, you need to be able to to do something, okay? And what do I mean for to do something? Because if you keep mistakenly the queen here, bishop takes h7, it's a discovery check, and then he gobbles the queen, right? So you must kind of be careful about that. But if you're careful, then one doesn't understand why not to play, right? Okay, instead, black did another thing that was knight f5. Bishop takes f5, rook takes f5, king g1. So white has been able to castle manually. Now the problem is that white is at least 2 moves away from the end of the opening, or what we call the middle game, and black is already in the middle game. Why? Because the goal of the opening is to connect the rooks once you have castle, and here white is 2 tempi behind. Okay? So what did black do after king g1? He centralized a rook on an open file. Rook c1, sorry, c8. De la Bourdonnais has an advantage in development, while his opponent's pieces are playing passive roles. Add to this the next 2 weaknesses volunteered by McDonnell, and white soon comes under enemy fire. Okay, so here white made a mistake, that is g4. Rook f7, e4, probably to avoid a possible bishop b5, rook c f8, rook c f8. Things are starting to become kind of scary on that file. Bishop e3, bishop e7, queen e2, and queen b3. The last 2 weakening moves, pawn moves, have allowed black to attack from 2 directions, which is what we want to do, right? Once we have a weakness, we want to create another, because at a certain point the resources of our enemy will end and we will get advantage of that. So bishop g5, attacking there. So strangely, he didn't want to take here, because there would be bishop takes e7. Oh yeah. Yeah, it seems so. Okay, so what did black do in this situation? So if you cannot exchange on the f file, what do you play? And here is bishop b4. Black refuses to simplify, since his opponent would have threats along the f file. Okay, so let's see what happens. After bishop b4, it comes king g2, that is also a mistake. Here it says this oversight allows De la Bourdonnais to finish off the game swiftly. Nevertheless, no tangible hope was offered by other moves, such as Saint-Amand, bishop e3, since black is ready to start picking off material with bishop e4. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So after king g2, there is rook takes f3, rook takes f3, rook takes f3, white plays rook c1. So the point here that is being missed, and I think you can see it right away, is the following. If you play queen f3, then there is queen takes b2 and this is gone. So obviously white wants to keep the waters a little murky. Rook f8, rook c7, bishop c6, bishop e3, controlling this so it cannot enter, queen c4, queen d1, bishop a5, rook e7, bishop a4, and here white think that it's better to use the time doing something else, and so he resigned. I hope you enjoyed this game from this book, and see you next time.